I've been gardening for 60 years, and let me tell you, this is the easiest, most rewarding method for beginners I've ever seen. But why a bag? Well, my grandmother taught me this when I was just a boy. In a traditional plastic pot, roots circle around and choke themselves. But in fabric, they air prune, creating a massive, healthy root system. And that means more potatoes. Picture this, a tiny space on your patio yielding enough sweet potatoes to feed your family for months. Believe it or not, many folks fail because they make one simple mistake right at the start. They try to plant the whole potato. You see, unlike regular potatoes, you don't plant chunks of sweet potatoes. The soil never lies, and it will just rot. Instead, we use something called slips. These are the green shoots that grow out of the potato. And they are pure magic. Here's the thing. You can easily make these slips at home for $0. Just one organic sweet potato from the grocery store. That one potato can give you a dozen slips, and each slip can produce up to 5 pounds of sweet potatoes. Incredible, right? Let me tell you, it's simple math. One potato makes 10 slips. 10 slips in a big bag means 50 pounds. It's that easy. But hold on. You can't just stick them in any old dirt. If the soil is heavy clay and compacted, the tubers can't expand. They'll end up small and twisted. Nobody wants that, right? So, to get that 50-pound harvest, we need to build the perfect mix. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And that brings me to our next phase. We're not just buying dirt, we're creating an ecosystem. Let's get our hands dirty, folks. But before we mix that perfect living soil, we need the star of the show. You see, sweet potatoes don't grow from seeds like other plants. Instead, we use something called slips. Remember the sprout we saw earlier? A slip is simply a rooted shoot grown from a mature sweet potato. Now, here is a crucial secret. Always start with an organic sweet potato. Many store-bought regular ones are treated with chemicals that completely prevent sprouting. If you try to grow a chemically treated potato, you will wait for months, and absolutely nothing will happen. It is just a waste of time. So, grab your organic potato, stick 4 wooden toothpicks around its middle, and suspend it in a glass jar filled with clean, room-temperature water. Make sure the pointy end goes down into the water, and the blunt end stays up in the air. That is where your new slips will emerge. Place the jar in a warm, sunny window. Sweet potatoes love heat. Within just 2 to 3 weeks, you will see something truly magical happen. Beautiful, delicate white roots will reach down into the water, while vibrant green shoots explode from the top. Those little green shoots are your slips. Each of these slips is a brand new sweet potato plant. A single healthy potato can easily give you 10 to 15 of these amazing slips. Let me tell you, that is incredible value. From one $2 potato, you get 15 plants. Buying those at a nursery would cost you $30. Now, place those detached slips into a shallow glass of fresh water. Look at those bright white roots. That is exactly what you want. A strong, vigorous root system is the secret to a massive 50-pound harvest. Now, in my experience, waiting for those water roots to develop gives your plant a massive head start once it hits the actual garden soil. So, while our beautiful slips are busy growing their roots, let's get back to the... Now, listen up. Sweet potatoes are root crops, meaning they do all their hard work underground. If the soil is heavy or compacted, they simply cannot grow. Many folks just buy cheap bagged soil. But let me tell you a secret, 90% of bagged soil is just dead, uncomposted wood chips. Store-bought dirt can cost you $50 a bag. But we are going to build a premium, fluffy living soil mix for absolutely $0. The perfect sweet potato mix needs 4 things: 45% minerals, 5% That air part is absolutely crucial. I like to add a generous helping of white perlite or coarse sand to keep the soil incredibly loose. When the soil is loose and airy, those potato tubers can expand without any resistance, growing into those massive, 5-pound giants we all want. Next, we add the magic ingredient, dark, rich, homemade compost. This is the 5% organic matter that turns ordinary dirt into a living ecosystem. You know what? This compost is packed with nutrients and acts exactly like a sponge, holding just the right amount of moisture for the roots. But here is the most mind-blowing fact, folks. Just one single teaspoon of this healthy, homemade compost contains over 1 billion beneficial bacteria working for you. Think of these microbes as a bustling underground city. They are constantly commuting, breaking down nutrients, and hand-delivering food directly to your sweet potato roots. So, we combine equal parts of our loose base soil, that rich compost, and our... Grab a handful and give it a squeeze. It should hold its shape for a second, but then crumble away easily when you gently poke it. Now, we are going to fill our large fabric grow bag. But pay close attention here, because we are not going to fill it all the way to the top. We only fill the bag about 1/3 or halfway up to start. That secret trick is called hilling, and it is exactly how we multiply our harvest. But first, let's get our fully rooted slips planted properly. Now, look closely at this slip. Do you see these little bumps along the stem? Those are nodes, and that is exactly where your potatoes will grow. The biggest mistake beginners make is planting the slip too shallow. If you don't bury those nodes, you get absolutely zero sweet potatoes. Just leaves. You want to bury at least 3 to 4 nodes under the soil. Picture this, each buried node acts like a separate factory producing those delicious tubers. Since our bag is only filled 1/3 of the way up, we lay the roots flat and gently cover the stem, leaving just the top leaves exposed. Planting them slightly horizontally instead of straight down gives them more room to spread. This simple technique can literally double your harvest right off the bat. Look at this underground city. The tubers need plenty of personal space to swell up. If they grow straight down, they hit the bottom and stop. Now, how many slips go in one bag? For a standard 20-gallon bag, do not plant more than 3 or 4 slips. Trust me on this. If you pack 10 slips in there, they will fight for nutrients. You'll end up with a huge mess of leaves, but tiny, pencil-sized potatoes below. Give them space. Plant them near the edges, pointing outward. Once they are positioned, gently press the soil down around the stems. Don't pack it tight, remember, we want that air and 25% oxygen. Next, we give them a good, deep drink of water to settle the soil. This eliminates air pockets that could dry out those delicate new roots. Oh boy, here comes the rain. Water them thoroughly until you see excess water draining out from the bottom of the fabric bag. That's crucial. If your container doesn't drain properly, sweet potatoes will rot in a matter of days. That is why the breathable fabric grow bag is an absolute lifesaver. Now our babies are snug in their beds. They are going to focus on establishing their roots for the next couple of weeks before vines explode. But remember that empty space we left at the top of the bag? You know what? Most folks fill their pots to the absolute brim right away. That is a massive wasted opportunity for sweet potatoes. When you fill it completely, the plant only has that one initial layer to produce tubers. The yield gets capped very early on. But by starting at 1/3 full, we can use an ancient trick called hilling. It is like building a multi-story skyscraper for your harvest. Let the plants grow for about 3 to 4 weeks. You will see those small slips explode into beautiful, long, leafy green vines. Once the vines are about 8 to 10 inches above the soil line, it is time to act. Grab your fluffy compost mix again. Carefully pour the living soil into the bag, burying the lower parts of the green vines. Leave just the top leaves sticking out. Every single leaf node that you just buried under that fresh dirt will magically transform into a brand new, vigorous root-producing factory. Hold on. Look at this. The buried stems are sprouting white roots instantly. We are literally adding a second floor of potatoes. By layering soil like this, you can increase your total yield by an astonishing 50% per bag. That is pure gardening magic. You simply repeat this process every few weeks. As the vines grow taller, you just keep adding more soil until the bag is full. Watch how the bag slowly fills up to the top rim. You are forcing the plant to maximize every cubic inch of that fabric bag. Underground, it looks exactly like a stacked apartment building. You have bottom layer potatoes, middle layer potatoes, and top layer potatoes all growing incredibly harmoniously together. Mind-blowing, isn't it? The plant thinks it is digging deeper, but we are actually building the soil upwards. It is a brilliant optical illusion. Once the soil reaches 2 inches from the top rim, you stop hilling. Now, the plant can focus entirely on swelling those delicious tubers. But with all those new potatoes forming, they are going to get incredibly thirsty. Watering properly is our next big hurdle to conquer. Here's the thing about sweet potatoes. They love water, but they absolutely hate sitting in a muddy puddle. It will rot those beautiful tubers instantly. If the bottom of your bag stays waterlogged, those lower level apartments we built will turn to mush. And your harvest will be ruined. That is exactly why we used the fabric bag, and why we placed it on a wooden pallet. The excess water drains right out effortlessly. But how do you know when to water? I'll tell you a little secret: never water just because the top inch of dirt looks dry. Dig your finger down about 2 or 3 inches. If it feels moist at that depth, walk away. The plant has plenty of water underground. If you just sprinkle water on top every day, the roots get lazy. They stay near the surface looking for that easy, shallow moisture. But we want deep, strong roots. So, when it is dry 3 inches down, you water deeply, heavily, but less frequently. Maybe twice a week. Look at this. Deep watering encourages the roots to dive down deep to find the moisture reservoir. It makes the plants incredibly tough and resilient. And timing is everything. Always water early in the morning. This gives the leaves plenty of time to dry off in the warm midday sun. If you water late in the evening, the foliage stays damp all night long. That is an absolute open invitation for nasty fungal diseases like powdery mildew. Now, want to cut your watering chores entirely in half? It's simple. Apply a nice thick layer of organic mulch right on top of the soil. That mulch acts like a protective blanket. It blocks the scorching hot sun, keeping the soil perfectly cool and dramatically reducing water evaporation. In fact, using a good thick mulch can reduce your water usage by up to 50%. It is a game changer for hot climates. So, deep watering, proper drainage through the fabric, and a solid layer of mulch. Get those 3 things right, and your potatoes will absolutely thrive. But remember, water alone isn't enough to grow a 50-pound harvest. Next, we need to dive into the invisible, secret world underground, the Wood Wide Web. Now, picture this. Beneath the soil, there is a massive, invisible communication network. Scientists actually call it the Wood Wide Web. It is truly fascinating. 90% of all plants depend on microscopic beneficial fungi called mycorrhizae. These fungi physically attach themselves to your sweet potato roots like living extensions. Think of these fungi as tiny underground delivery drivers. They travel far beyond the roots, mining for hidden nutrients and bringing them directly back. In fact, this magical fungal network can expand your plant's absorption zone by 100 to 1,000 times. That is how you get huge potatoes. But here is the catch, folks. If you use harsh chemical fertilizers, you instantly kill this delicate fungal network. That is why we stay completely organic. Chemicals act like a toxic bomb to the soil ecosystem. You will end up with dead dirt, and your harvest will severely suffer as a result. So, how do we feed them naturally? Well, to make those sweet potatoes swell up to 50 pounds, they crave one specific mineral, potassium. In the gardening world, we talk about NPK. Nitrogen is for leaves, phosphorus. And guess what? You don't need to buy expensive bottles. You already have the best potassium fertilizer sitting right inside your kitchen trash can. I am talking about ordinary banana peels. Wow, can you believe it? You just chop those peels up, bury them shallowly under the mulch, and the worms and microbes will feast. Another incredible $0 fertilizer is pure wood ash from your fireplace. It contains about 5 to 7% potassium and also helps balance soil acidity. Just sprinkle a light dusting of wood ash around the edges of the grow bag every few weeks. Do not overdo it, just a light sprinkle. As you water the bag, that potassium washes down. The mycorrhizal fungi grab it, deliver it to the roots, and the tubers begin to swell incredibly. With the soil thriving and the potatoes getting fat underground, everything looks perfect. But watch out, because enemies are watching from the skies above. Those lush, beautiful green leaves are an absolute magnet for garden pests. Aphids, whiteflies, and sweet potato weevils will try to steal your hard-earned harvest. If you look closely under the leaves, you might see these tiny sap-sucking invaders. Now, your first instinct might be to grab a bottle of toxic synthetic pesticide. But stop right there. That is the worst thing you can do. Remember our underground city? Spraying poisons will wash down into the soil, instantly killing your beneficial microbes, your earthworms, and that magical fungal network. Instead, my grandfather taught me a completely natural, $0 defense strategy. We are going to make a simple, highly effective spray right in our own kitchen. Just mix 1 tablespoon of pure neem oil, a few drops of mild dish soap, and a liter of water. It is incredibly safe and effective. The dish soap breaks the water tension, allowing the neem oil to coat the leaves perfectly. It disrupts the bugs' hormones so they stop feeding entirely. You just spray this magical mixture on the top and bottom of the leaves early in the morning. The pests absolutely hate the bitter taste. But if you want the ultimate, hands-free pest control, you need to recruit nature's I am talking about the mighty ladybug. Do not let their cute red shells fool you. A single ladybug can devour 5,000 aphids in its lifetime. They will hunt down those sap-sucking villains relentlessly. To attract these fierce little warriors, simply plant some bright yellow marigolds right next to your grow bag. Marigolds act as a brilliant companion plant. Not only do they invite our ladybug friends, but their strong scent actively repels microscopic nematodes from the roots. It is an invisible, natural force field protecting your precious potatoes. This is how true organic permaculture works, letting the local ecosystem do the hard labor for you. With the bad bugs banished and the good bugs standing guard, your sweet potato vines will grow completely unchecked, channeling all their massive energy underground. Now, the hardest part begins, the waiting game. How do you know exactly when your 50-pound treasure is finally ready to be unearthed? Let me show you. Sweet potatoes are definitely not a quick crop, folks. They need a long, hot growing season, usually between 100 to 140 days. During those 3 to 4 months, you just let the sun do its heavy lifting. Watch as the days slowly transition from summer into early autumn. Patience is truly your best friend here. While you wait above ground, our underground city is working overtime, packing starches into those expanding sweet potatoes. Then, one morning, you will notice the lush green leaves starting to turn yellow and wilt. Many beginners panic, thinking the plant is completely dying. Do not panic. I promise you, this is exactly what you want to see. It means the plant is sending all its final energy downward. Underground, those tubers are absolutely massive now. They are literally draining the last drops of life from the vines to finalize their incredible explosive growth. Now, listen to me carefully. Exactly 2 weeks before you plan to harvest, you must do something very important. You must completely stop watering them. Put the watering can away. No matter how dry the soil looks on the surface, do not add a single drop of moisture to that bag. If you keep watering right until harvest, the sweet potatoes will absorb too much moisture too fast, and their delicate skins will violently split open. Splitting makes them rot in storage. By cutting off the water, you force the skins to toughen up, protecting them perfectly for the long winter. This drying out period is the secret first step of the curing process. It ensures your 50-pound harvest will easily last in the pantry. You also need to keep a very close eye on the weather forecast. Sweet potatoes despise cold weather, and frost is their absolute worst enemy. If a heavy frost hits the leaves, the cold damage travels straight down the stems and can instantly rot your entire crop in the dirt. So, the vines are yellowing, the dirt is perfectly dry, and the weather is getting chilly. Everything aligns perfectly for the most exciting gardening day. The waiting game is finally over, my friends. Grab your gloves, because it is time to crack open this bag and reveal our 50-pound treasure. Now, the easiest way to harvest a fabric bag is to gently tip it over on a tarp. Watch closely as the living soil just crumbles away. Look at this absolute mountain of food. You couldn't make this up. Our microscopic underground city and the mighty earthworms did all the heavy lifting, delivering a spectacular, mind-blowing 50-pound harvest today. When you put them on a scale, hitting 50 pounds from one single bag is completely normal with this method. It is a fantastic return on investment. But hold on. Instead, just gently brush off the loose dirt with your hands. The skins are extremely delicate right now and need time to heal and toughen up properly. We call this process curing. Place your unwashed sweet potatoes in a warm, humid spot for about 10 days. A cardboard box indoors works perfectly for this. During this magical curing period, the skin thickens, healing any small scratches. This means they will easily last in your pantry for up to 6 whole months. Even more importantly, the curing process triggers special enzymes. It literally transforms the bland starches inside the potato into incredibly sweet, mouth-watering natural sugars. It's science. By the time you bake them, they will be oozing with natural caramel syrup. I promise you, they will be the best sweet potatoes you have ever tasted. So, there you have it. And the best part? You know what? Gardening doesn't have to be expensive or backbreaking. Just observe the ecosystem, stop digging, and let the soil web do the work. I've been gardening for 60 years, and seeing a harvest like this never gets old. If I can do this on my patio, you absolutely can too. Thank you so much for joining me in the garden today. Hit that subscribe button for more organic secrets, and I'll see you all next season.